In the last video, we saw that after Sejun discovered a new variety called the sweet potato pumpkin of the sun for which he had exclusive cultivation rights, he did the smart thing by planting it back right away. Then he harvested sweet potatoes, and after dinner, he diced some of them using the sickle rabbit's help and left them to dry. Outside, Kim Dong-sik reached Sejun's family, and they were shocked to learn that such a big shot had come to meet them and inform them about their son. They were initially worried about Sejun's safety and thought he had sent back a will, but they were relieved and overjoyed to find that he sent them 50 million won instead. But they had no idea he went to the tower, and Kim Dong-sik leaves them after saying he will try to find out what he can. He thinks that if Sejun really entered the tower 5 months ago and climbed to the 40th floor by solo play, he must be an unprecedented genius. In the present, Sejun is preparing to plant carrots using a new technique by dipping the carrot tops in water till they sprout, and then he plants them in the soil. He is happy that the new technique worked well and he could plant carrots quickly, even receive job experience, and increase the proficiency of his skill, sowing. The method was great for recycling too, as he took the leftover hard tops of the carrots eaten by the rabbits, and then soaked them in water in bowls made of onion leaves. After some time, leaves sprouted on the top and roots began to grow at the bottom. Then he just planted the tops in the ground and covered them with soil until only the leaves were in the open, because once the root has been eaten, it does not grow back. The plant focuses on developing its stem part, and it soon flowers, using which one can collect carrot seeds. Some of the early planted carrot plants had begun flowering, and Sejun was very happy that everything was going well. He tells his rabbit friend that this was what he liked about farming. Working hard gives one the feeling of being rewarded with unexpected gains that build up over time. But then Sejun gets a message from the tower master, who wants to know if the dried sweet potatoes are ready yet. Sejun gets up, saying he was going to check them soon anyway, and he goes to the central rock with his rabbit friends on his shoulder to see that the sweet potato shards have dried really well. He picks up one chip and is very excited about its taste, and as soon as he takes a bite, he is overwhelmed by its deliciousness. The dried sweet potato was sweet and savory, its crust was dried sufficiently, and the inside was still perfectly moist and soft. He is lost in the taste, and his rabbit friends think the same thing about the new snack. Sejun says no one can resist the soft, chewy, and addictive texture, and the information window for the dried sweet potato opens up. It mentions how the roasted sweet potato was dried in the sun for 24 hours to lock in the moisture and sweetness while providing a crusty exterior and a savory and sweet taste. He is really excited about this success and decides to dry many more sweet potatoes to snack on them whenever he is bored. As Sejun gathers more of them to eat, his rabbit friends are also enjoying their taste. And then the manager sends him a message informing him that he was forgetting something. Sejun apologizes and prepares an offering to the tower manager, who wants to eat the dried sweet potatoes quickly and wants him to complete the quest right away. But as Sejun looks at the onion leaf bowl, he thinks of something. He tells the tower manager to wait for a moment and begins to look for something inside his bag. Sejun says that it does not feel appropriate to send food to the manager every time in an onion leaf bowl, and this time he has a better idea. The manager does not care about formalities and just wants the snack soon, but Sejun promises that it will take only a while and is already done in a minute. He presents the dried sweet potatoes packed nicely in a poly bag and exclaims that his packaging is complete, and the manager is surprised. Sejun explains that outside the tower, he used to work in the convenience store and has some skills in packaging. He has packed the sweet potatoes in gift form and is proud to present them to the manager since it was their first time trying this. Sejun wants this experience to be even more special, as not only will the packaging make it look more pretty, it will also keep it fresh longer, and the moisture will remain locked in inside the chips. The tower manager is lost in thought, and when Sejun asks if they were not going to take it, the manager starts and thanks him. Sejun is not impressed by the reaction and is upset that he just got a lukewarm thanks after he worked so hard to impress the manager. He asks the manager if they thought he was playing a joke with food, and the manager is actually smitten by the cuteness of the package. The manager is blushing and trembling with excitement as they hold the tiny package in their hand and panic, shouting, "How could someone eat something so cute?" And Sejun likes this over-the-top reaction. Only a few hours later, Sejun is running out of the dried sweet potato strips. He says that he had dried 40 whole sweet potatoes and wonders how they could disappear so quickly. But it is clear that he and the rabbits could not resist the delicious snack and were still munching on them. Then suddenly the queen bee comes to him with something interesting, and Sejun asks her what the matter was. She happily places a ball in his hand, and Sejun is confused about what it is. Then he reads the information window that says it was a pollen bundle made of corn pollen. Sejun is surprised to see it and then realizes that his corn plants are already in the flowering stage. He goes to them with the queen bee and says that he has not been paying much attention to the corns lately, and the plants were already this big. All of them had flowered and silked, but then he realized that there was no nectar in corn flowers, so the bees could not collect honey. That is why the worker bees were collecting pollen using their furry hind legs. Sejun wonders if he should try eating the pollen bundle because some people take them as health supplements, and he decides to try one, which tastes slightly bitter but sweet like candy. He likes it and thanks the queen bee with a huge smile, and she wants to make him happier, so she orders all her worker bees to immediately come over to her. They make the bundles of pollen they were carrying and give them all to Sejun as he thanks them, and the queen bee hovers above them proudly. He says that there were too many pollen bundles, and he could not eat them all as they were too precious. At the same time, Theo announces his return as he jumps into the cave, but as soon as he sees the queen poison honeybee, he is scared and stands on his toes with his tail stiff. He tells Sejun that he was scared, but he replies that it was fine since the honeybees knew he was on their side. The queen bee also wants to become friends with Theo, so she gives him the remaining pollen bundles. But Theo is allergic to pollen, and he clings to Sejun, wiping his nose with his shirt and pulling it with his claws. Sejun tells him to get off because this is his only shirt and he does not want it to be ruined. But then he asks the sales cat if he did what he was asked to do, and Theo replies that he completed all the missions and even sold out. Sejun asks him if he conveyed the news and money to his family successfully, and Theo replies that it should have been done because there was a contract in place. Sejun is surprised to find that the contract was already complete, and he realizes that the 50 million won and his regards were successfully delivered to his family. He asks Theo if everything would have gone smoothly, and the cat merchant replies that it would have. The tower contracts are ironclad even outside the tower, but he would go and meet the person he contacted to confirm the details. Sejun thanks him and says that he was dependable. After that, he begins to think about his family, which included his parents and his younger brother Sedal. Sejun says that he was in a pinch because he disappeared without leaving them a message, and it was bothering him a lot. He thinks that they must have been extremely worried about him, but now they would feel better. They must have had no idea that he went inside the tower and began farming there, and they could not even dream about him partnering up with some rabbits, bees, and a cat merchant. Sejun wonders what kind of face his family members would make if they learned about him being a tower farmer. He thinks that his little brother Sedal will definitely make fun of him since he always annoyed him. As Theo greets the rabbits, Sejun continues with his remembrances and thinks that his dad has a hobby of gardening and growing flowers, and he would certainly be curious about his cultivation practices and even give him some tips. Sejun thinks that he has inherited his natural talent for farming from his dad, but then he gets even more nostalgic as he remembers his mom, who always served them a full-course meal including everything they liked. As Sejun thinks back about the simpler and happier times with his family, he begins to miss them a lot. But then the rabbits, the bees, and Theo come up to him and remind him that they are his family here. As the queen bee sits on his head, he cuddles with the black rabbit and Theo, saying that they are also his family. The cat merchant feels the need to confirm his status in his family, and Sejun replies that, of course, he was also a part of the family as his one and only employee, the sales cat Theo. The cat is pleased by his praises and decides to report everything to Sejun about his recent business trip. He says that he used 50 tower coins for the contract, 14 tower coins for facilitating it, and then some more for buying the necessary items. Even after all that, he still has 208 tower coins left. Sejun is shocked to learn about the ridiculous amount that was much greater than the last time. Theo says that it was as he had told him. In an auction, people increase the prices of the goods on their own. Along with the money, he has other good things for Sejun, including the utensils he had asked for. Sejun is amazed as he inspects the pan, saying that it has been so long since he last saw the sign of civilization. The rabbits are also trying to make sense of the utensils with their silly antics, and then Sejun finds that even the cast iron pot has an information window and its own item mark since it was made in the tower. He finds that the item was rank D and its manufacturer detail was undisclosed, and he asks Theo about the last part. But before he can get an answer, He spots a dagger on the ground, and as he picks it up, he feels like being inside the tower for the first time in ages. His eyes gleam with wonder and excitement as he says that this was his first weapon ever since he came inside the tower. The information window of the dagger does not tell him much and is full of question marks, but it mentions that the dagger was of E rank, and only those with strength above 5 and a level above 10 could wield it. Sejun is curious about the question marks, and he asks Theo where he got the dagger from. Theo is busy playing with the rabbits and replies that he heard about blacksmith's lottery, where some things were sold at a cheap price, so he just bought what he thought would be good. Sejun does not understand much about the dagger and the lottery corner, but since he meets the requirement, he thinks he should use the dagger. But the tower master sends him a message, saying that if he used an unappreciated item recklessly, he could put himself in danger. Sejun is curious about what could happen, but the tower manager offers to appraise the dagger for him. A new quest is generated about the dagger, but that is joined with another quest in which Sejun has to send dried sweet potatoes to the manager to get his dagger appraised. Sejun is disappointed and says that this was not the right way to do it, and the manager replies that it was necessary to give something so that he could help him. The tower manager still acts like it is not doing this for the food, but then the message window says that the manager was wiping its saliva. Sejun is furious and complains that the manager took too much earlier too, but since it would feel uncomfortable to use an item with undisclosed information, he decides to follow up with the requests. He gives the dagger first, and then the tower manager uses his appraisal skills to find that the dagger was not harmful. Then, as Sejun offers the dried sweet potatoes, the manager gives him his dagger back. Sejun reads the information about the dagger, which was named Keen's training short dagger, and was used by the Ranger Keens of the Red Mountain to train during his childhood. The blade was made of black iron and was decently heavy, but a small amount of mithril was also mixed in it, so it was quite sturdy and could retain its sharpness for a long time. It was produced by the blacksmith Raven, who was a black hammer dwarf, and its true rank was B. It had a skill called Proficiency Increase Level 1 that increased the proficiency of any skill the user practices with the dagger 5% faster. Sejun does not need to read all this to be amazed, and he is blown away by the fact that it was a named weapon. They were very rare, and in the outside world, even the lowest quality weapons were sold for 100 million won, and this one looked very rare and precious. Sejun is stunned that Theo got this from the lottery, and he thinks that the cat was not just some pushover like he thought. He indeed had some talent for finding useful things. But outside the cave in the forests of the 99th floor, there is one more creature. It is the red bear who scares Theo and almost killed Sejun during one blue moon night. But right now, it does not look anything like a monster and is just a cute little bear. The chapter ends with this. Sejun displayed a new technique to plant carrots and found out that his corn plants were also going to produce cobs soon. On top of that, he found that Theo made the biggest deal of their contract and successfully informed his parents about him being in the tower. Then there is the named weapon and the cute bear, and we have to wait for the next episode to see how his first meeting with Sejun goes. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.